Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello! And we are talking again about the Rider-Waite Tarot and some of the unique symbolism in that deck of cards, as well as how it relates to other modalities and some of the weird, quirky things that might show up in a reading. So today, the card I have for you is the High Priestess. The High Priestess is loaded with symbolism. She is also one of the major arcana cards, number 2 in the major arcana. So she comes right after the Magician. Right after you gather your tools, it's time to figure out what the heck is going on. And she is represented usually between the two pillars, and the pillars are black and white, showing the balance between the darkness and the light. Definitely some Jedi stuff going on in there. And she has the triple moon crown on her head. There's also a moon, a crescent moon at her feet. And I think, yep, there's like little waves and things down here. It's a little less clear on this one than in some other cards, but sometimes her skirts itself or her robes look a little watery. So we'll get into that. She has a cross at her neck, which representing that intersection between the elements. And she's got a veil behind her, and on that veil are pomegranates. A veil with pomegranates on it. Let's not go honing in too hard on the, look, this is the entrance to the underworld. But that's exactly what it's meant to represent. The High Priestess sits at the gates, shall we say, to the veil between worlds. So our world in the underworld, our world in the unconscious, our world in the divine. She is represented with the chakras of the 6th and 7th chakras. So this is high-end energy kind of stuff. She's very contemplative. She's very all about the unconscious and the collective conscience, which is why I go back to the robes and that kind of watery aspect. The moon and the robes and all of these things representing ocean and depth, big depth. She is the collective consciousness. She is connected to that collective consciousness. So when I start talking about things like this, I start thinking about, when I was writing my Cloud to Cloud book, and I'm writing the second one on that one. And all of these things are very much like the character of Hannah, who is connected to both worlds and can kind of move between the two of them. And that's what she is. She represents that ability to gather knowledge from our unconscious, from the collective conscience, from the great big data cloud in the sky, and bring it to the rest of us, those of us that can't connect to those things easily, and just kind of not necessarily spoon feed it, but make it in a way that is more understandable. And again, she has the scroll here. She is changing all of that divine, crazy data and honing it in and filtering it down to something that's a little more palatable to our smaller brains while we're in these bodies. When we leave and go into that collective consciousness and we come back, whether it's through meditation or other means, we come back and we have all this downloaded information, all this data. And now we've got to process that, and we've got to figure out, what does it all mean? That is what the High Priestess represents, is standing at that veil and guiding us back and forth with the information and translating that information for us. You can also look at the High Priestess kind of as one of the oracles of Delphi. They would get all of these weird messages and twisted riddles and all this stuff, and then you'd have to figure out what the heck that all means. Grant you, a lot of that was probably because they were inhaling some rather weird gases from the cracks in the ground, but beyond all that, they definitely were giving us the watered down version of what they had experienced. It's sort of like taking and trying to explain a dream to someone. No matter what you do, you're only going to get those surface symbols that are on there. Very much like with this card, there's so much depth in this. We've got the pomegranates also meaning femininity, abundance, and fertility. So you can also connect her to Persephone and how she travels into the underworld and brings back precious information, and in some ways the precious jewels and things like that. So all of those things are connected with the High Priestess. She's a very interesting card. When you think about this card, also think about the stillness, which is Isa, which is the rune that is just a single line. And again, you've got the pillars, those single lines of stillness and standing and grace and fortitude and all those kinds of things. Look at all of those pieces of information when looking at the High Priestess. There's so much more I could talk about with that card. It's really hard for me to keep some of these videos down to something that's like a little munch size because I have so much that I want to say. But if you want even more on that, check out the other times I've pulled the High Priestess. It's been a bunch of times. I really like that card, so it comes up a lot, and it's been in a bunch of different decks, so check out the playlist for that. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. I'll see you again soon. Bye!